Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Charles Alpha. Our sign language interpreter is Shegun Ajay. Let's begin with some of our top stories. Russia, Ukraine agree to a new prisoner exchange following US mediated talks in Abu Dhabi. And French Navy seizes 4.25 tons of cocaine from a ship in South Pacific. And federal government and United Nations agricultural support programs boosts rice and cassava for national food production. We begin from Kwara, where the worshippers abducted in Kurumin-Wali village, Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State, have been released. The freed victims, including women and children, are currently at the government house, Kaduna, awaiting the arrival of officials from a formal reception to welcome them back from captivity. Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdrazak says attackers and killers of innocent victims would not go scot-free and must be made to face the full wrath of the law. He was speaking during his visit to Kayama local government area of Kwara State to commiserate with the people following a bandits attack that led to the death of many residents. Aisha Bwakar reports.
Governor Abdurrahman Abdrazak, who was devastated about the incident, assured that no stone would be left unturned to ensure that the terrorists are captured and properly dealt with. He explained that with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's immediate order to deploy an army battalion to Kayama local government area, with the new military command spearheading Operation Savannah Shield, the perpetrators of the dastardly acts would be brought to justice. The operation, he added, was to checkmate the barbaric terrorists and protect defenseless communities while stamping out banditry in the Axis and Kwara as a whole.
We thank the Commander-in-Chief for approving the immediate deployment of a battalion of soldiers immediately under Operation Savannah Shield. Hitherto, Bauten Kayama and part of the Kanji Park was supposed to be under Operation Fasanyama, but now there will be a major operation here directly with headquartered in Kwara.
The Emir of Kayama, Alhaji Umar Muazu, confirmed that 75 victims have been given mass burial according to Islamic rites, and some others have been transported to other communities for burial.
These people are at the edge of the national park, very large and more than Zimbabwe, the one in Borno State, and it's very porous, very empty, and it's habitat food. But they want a consolidated and comprehensive military outfit involving Kwara and Niger that can uproot them.
The governor was also at Woro, one of the communities attacked by bandits, to commiserate with them as he re-echoed the readiness of both the federal and state government's resolve towards ensuring maximum security in those axes. Scores of persons were massacred in Woro and Nuku communities of Kayama local government area of Kwara State by terrorists, allegedly for refusing to surrender to extremists who preached a strange doctrine to them on Tuesday evening. Aisha Abubakar Yahaya, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has ordered the deployment of an army battalion to Kayama local government area of Kwara State, where Boko Haram terrorists overnight killed helpless villagers in Woro. President Tinubu said the new military command will spearhead Operation Savannah Shield to checkmate the barbaric terrorists and protect defenseless communities. He condemned the cowardly and beastly attack and described the gunmen as heartless and choosing soft targets in their doomed campaign of terror. President Tinubu expressed rage that the attackers killed the community members who rejected their obnoxious attempt and indoctrination, choosing instead to practice Islam that is neither extreme nor violent. The president urged collaboration between federal and state agencies to provide succor to members of the public, the community rather, and ensure those who committed the atrocities do not go scot-free. And after months of silence on the battlefield and stalled diplomacy, Russia and Ukraine have now agreed a new prisoner exchange following U.S.-mediated talks in Abu Dhabi, offering a rare moment of hope in a 4-year war that has reshaped millions of lives. Gloria Agbo reports.
In Abu Dhabi, far from the front lines, delegates from the United States, Ukraine and Russia sat across the table for a second round of high-stakes talks, quiet conversations carrying enormous weight. At the end of the day, a concrete result, an agreement to exchange 314 prisoners of war, the first of such swap in 5 months. U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff described the talks as detailed and productive, confirming the deal in a public statement, while cautioning that much more work lies ahead. For families waiting on news, however, this step means everything. A name on the list, a phone call, a return home. Russia signaled cautious optimism. Kremlin envoy Kirill Dmitriev said progress has been made, calling the discussions positive. On the streets of the Russian capital, the talks are being watched closely. Among ordinary Muscovites, there is quiet hope that diplomacy might succeed where weapons have not. We believe in this change, says one engineer, that peace will finally come. The Abu Dhabi talks do not end the war. They do not erase the losses of 4 long years. But for hundreds of prisoners and the families counting the days, they mark something rare in this conflict: movement, dialogue, and the possibility, however fragile, of human breaking through. Similarly, against the backdrop of military warnings and regional anxiety, United States and Iran are returning to the negotiating table, reopening nuclear talks that many fear may be the last diplomatic off-ramp before another Middle East conflict. After months of uncertainty, Washington and Tehran are preparing to talk again. The White House has confirmed that U.S. and Iranian negotiators will meet on Friday, reviving nuclear discussions that collapsed earlier this year. The talks come after sustained pressure from regional powers, including Egypt, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Oman, all urging the United States to keep diplomacy alive. Their message has been consistent. Another war in the Middle East would be devastating, far beyond the borders of Iran. But expectations remain cautious. Iran has drawn firm red lines. Tehran says its ballistic missiles program is off the table, rejecting U.S. demands to limit missile range, a restriction that would weaken Iran's ability to strike Israel. On the nuclear issue, Iran insists it will not fully abandon uranium enrichment, though it has offered to cap enrichment levels below 20% as a signal of peaceful intent. The delegations reflect the seriousness of the movement. Both sides returned to talks after 5 failed negotiation rounds in 2025. Efforts that unraveled following Israel's airstrikes and a brief but intense war. Hovering over the discussion is a clear warning from President Donald Trump. If diplomacy fails, he says, military actions remain on the table. For now, the sound of missiles has given way to the language of negotiation. Whether this round produces compromise or simply delays confrontation may shape the region's future for years to come. Glory Agbo, NTA News.
And France's Navy has seized 4.25 tons of cocaine from a ship in the South Pacific. The country's High Commission in the Iceland territory confirmed that the vessel from Central America and believed bound for South Africa was intercepted in French Polynesia. Its cargo was destroyed at sea, away from the Polynesia Economic Zone and Marine Protected Area. Officials told the AFP that the prosecutor's office did not bring charges so as not to burden the local court with a case of drug trafficking, not destined for French Polynesia itself. The High Commission said the vessel and its crew were freed under international law. The Navy seized almost 5 tons of cocaine, believed headed for Australia from a fishing vessel near French Polynesia last month. The United Nations has said in recent years that organized crime groups trafficking cocaine and methamphetamine have expanded their presence in the Pacific. And in a move aimed at bringing people closer and unlocking new opportunities, Ghana and Zambia have agreed to abolish visa requirements for each country, a decision hailed as a boost for travel, trade and African integration. Gloria Agbo reports.
Ghana and Zambia have agreed to remove visa requirements for one another's citizens, allowing travelers to cross borders without entry permits. The announcement was confirmed by Ghana's Foreign Affairs Minister during President Mahama's 3-day official visit to Zambia. For years, paperwork and permits slowed movement between the two countries, officials say. Those barriers are coming down. The visa-free policy is expected to make it easy for businesses to operate, for tourists to explore, and for students, workers, and entrepreneurs to move freely between Accra and Lusaka. It also opens the door to deepen cultural and professional exchanges, people meeting people, not just governments signing agreements. Beyond travel, the deal reflects something larger. Both governments describe it as part of a renewed push to strengthen diplomatic ties, expand economic cooperation, and improve connectivity across Africa. As regional integration gathers momentum, Ghana and Zambia are signaling a shared belief that easier movement builds stronger partnerships and that Africa's future depends not just on borders, but on bridges between its people. Gloria Agbo, NTA News.
ECOWAS Commission and the African Development Bank, AFDB, have commenced a high-level consultation meeting on the extension of the Regional Integration Strategy paper for West Africa 2020-2027. The 3-day meeting taking place at the ECOWAS Commission headquarters in Abuja, Nigeria, brings together senior management of ECOWAS and the AFDB to deliberate on the strategic orientation of the West Africa, RISP. The AFDB's Director General for West Africa, Lamin Barrow, underscored the importance of extending the current RISP, which reached its term in December 2025. He noted that the extension of this critical regional programming instrument is necessary to sustain and underpin new operations within the framework of the bank's partnership with ECOWAS. President of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Umar Aliu Tore, commended the African Development Bank for its multifaceted support to ECOWAS in various areas such as agriculture, infrastructure, trade, custom, capacity development, health, education, industry, and energy. And the federal government has launched Nigeria's national halal economy strategy aimed at positioning the country key into the $7.7 trillion global halal market and diversify its economy. President Bola Tinubu, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, stated this when he unveiled the Nigeria National Halal Economy Strategy at the presidential villa. A State House correspondent, Abdraman Jibrila reports.
The unveiling of the strategy serves as a signal of Nigeria's readiness to join the world in accessing the global halal economy, already embraced by leading nations, as well as to clearly define the nation's direction within the market, expected to add an estimated $1.5 billion to the nation's GDP by 2027. Allaying concerns by those linking the halal with religious affiliation, Vice President Kashim Shettima pointed out that the global halal economy has since outgrown parochial interpretations.
The halal economy is a global market framework rooted in standards, safety, and commercial trust, not geography or belief. I assure you that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is unequivocally committed to repositioning the Nigerian economy. But the task ahead us as far as the halal economy is simple. Is to ensure alignment between policy and practice, between ambition and delivery. Government will play its coordinating role. The private sector must bring innovation and investment. Our development partners will find in Nigeria a serious and prepared counterpart.
Chairman of Dar Al Halal Group Nigeria Limited, Muhammadu Dikkoladan, said in addition to the strategy, an export program is underway involving the Ministry of Trade and Investment, through which Nigerian companies can be onboarded into the Saudi Arabian market and beyond, creating market access and attracting foreign direct investment.
Halal is an opportunity for Nigerians, economic-wise. It's similar to kosher goods that the Jews certify as well. There's absolutely no reason for any Nigerian to be afraid of halal certified goods. They're healthy. They are positioned to make sure that Nigeria can join the League of Non-Oil Exports. It will help our farmers. It will help our MSMEs. It will also help ensure that our economy is positioned to take advantage of this gap. We're going to leverage it for the African Continental Free Trade Area and make sure that we're also exporting our halal-friendly goods.
Recall that President Tinubu's recent state visit to the Republic of Turkey further reinforces Nigeria's commitment to developing a global competitive halal ecosystem. A major outcome of that visit was the signing of an agreement in the field of halal quality infrastructure between the two nations. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
You're still on to the news on NTA International. More reports ahead. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Now on Health Matters, the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, has launched Empower Academy Nigeria in Abuja, a strategic platform to boost skills development and Nigeria's healthcare value chain. The academy will address the gap in industry-ready professionals training, especially in pharmaceutical manufacturing and life sciences, addressing a critical gap in practical skills. Professor Pate emphasized that the initiative aligns with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's vision to make Nigeria a manufacturing hub and creating quality jobs.
This vision is real, and that Nigeria can be a manufacturing hub, can unlock the healthcare value chain.
The first phase, which we are launching today, the virtual platform, is going to provide about at least 40 different courses, ready-to-use courses. And Honorable Minister, these courses are going to be free of charge to all Nigerians.
Conventional vision and national goals of becoming self-reliant for medical and pharmaceutical products.
The program is free for qualified Nigerians for the next 2 years, which includes classroom learning, lab practices, mentorship and factory-style training to equip young Nigerians with technical skills. Federal and United Nations agricultural support programs have significantly boosted rice and cassava contributions to national food production. The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, who made this disclosure in Nasarawa State, stated that the government anticipates signing additional commitments with IFAD to sustain the value chain development program. Musa Babali reports.
This is Gidi farming community in Lafia, Nasarawa State, welcoming the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security and officials from the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD. Their joy was sparked by this modern cassava processing center built for them under the VCDP initiative. About 20 kilometers away is this rice processing center constructed under the Nigeria IFAD-sponsored program. It was inaugurated by the State Governor Abdullahi Sule. Ashangwa is another community that benefited from a similar rice processing center. This is bigger, as Ashangwa is among the largest rice processing communities in the state.
The Value Chain Development Program, VCDP, remains a critical pillar of impact. The program, implemented in partnership with IFAD, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, a UN agency, has designed to address structural constraints in the rice and cassava value chains through integrated investments in production, aggregation, processing, infrastructure, market access, and institutional strengthening.
We will continue to do our best from the state because we believe in agriculture. We don't see agriculture as a leisure thing, we see agriculture as business.
Apart from Nasarawa, 8 other states are currently benefiting from the interventions under the International Fund for Agricultural Development, VCDP. From Lafia, Nasarawa State, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And for millions of Nigerians, access to clean water and basic sanitation remains a daily struggle. With the funding gaps in the wash sector widening, stakeholders have converged on Abuja to chart a new course on water. And our water correspondent Usman Zubairu reports that there is a strategic shift towards sustainable resource mobilization.
In many communities across Nigeria, the sound of a running tap is a luxury, and the dignity of a modern toilet, a distant dream. Beyond the health risks, lack of water, sanitation and hygiene, wash services strains Nigeria's economy and future. It is again this backdrop that policymakers, development partners and private sector players are meeting in the nation's capital. The goal is to finalize a blueprint that will move the country from a dependent budget model to a resources mobilization powerhouse.
This American act by the American government has actually affected the implementation of water sanitation and hygiene in the country. And like last year alone, we saw how much and how many states had cholera outbreak.
The strategy focuses on 3 pillars: innovative financing, private-public partnership, and improved transparency to build donor confidence. Experts say, without a clear roadmap for funding, Nigerians' open defecation goals may remain out of reach.
A clarion call to ensure that the level of wash is improved in Nigeria as a whole.
It cannot be left for government alone, it cannot be left for the private sector alone. Individually, we can do this.
The ministry has moved ahead to start prioritizing what we call local investment, because what we're benefiting from was an international and global investment.
Stakeholders at the workshop resolved that collective involvement is the key to bridging Nigeria's funding gap and achieving sustainable development goals 6 by 2030. Usman Zubairu, NTA News.
The federal government has reaffirmed its determination to always put in place right policies and incentives that will encourage local production, as well as patronage of made in Nigeria automotive products. Director General of the National Automotive Design and Development Council, Joseph Osanipin, stated this at a one-day sensitization workshop for Nigeria tire and battery industries in Abuja. Chukunon Sunwabese reports.
The tire and battery segments are no doubt central to strengthening Nigeria's automotive value chain, particularly in advancing local manufacturing, quality standards and sustainability. It is against this backdrop that the federal government, through the National Automotive Design and Development Council, is using this sensitization workshop for Nigeria tire and battery industries to actively canvass for local production in order to address the challenge of overdependence on importation.
It is our responsibility of Nigeria to decide that we need to put a stop to this kind of wasteful expenditure. We need to put a stop to importation of what we can produce effectively in Nigeria. Wherever we have advantage, we need to take that advantage. We can produce rubber. We can produce, from there we can produce tire.
Beyond financing, the Bank of Industry remains focused on supporting viable projects that promote local value addition, compliance, and long-term industry growth.
The foundation stage always is to start with battery, start with tires, and that is particularly good for us because we have, these materials. We always have to start with what we have.
with the theme Revitalizing the Automotive Value Chain in Nigeria, Strategies for Growth in the Tire and Battery Sectors. The workshop also focused on tire retreading in Nigeria, challenges and opportunities, investment in responsible battery value chains, supporting electric vehicles, as well as standardization and enforcements, mitigating road traffic crashes through tire quality assurance and lifespan compliance. Chukunonsongwa Bweze, NTA News.
All right, this is where we end the news. Many thanks for watching. I am Charles Alpha Shegwaja and has been our sign language interpreter.